In today's video, I bought a new camera. Let's go check it out. So those photos and videos that you just saw are from the Canon R50. So far, I'm having fun trying it out and exploring with it. I'm excited to see what else it can do over the next few weeks and months as I make more videos. Now you may be wondering how I came about choosing this particular camera as my next camera. The reasons are pretty straightforward, and I figure I'll lay it out on a board just to give you a better picture. My first reason I picked up this camera is because my last camera broke, and at this point it's better to just move forward than it is to repair what I have. My second reason is that for years I've been told that Canon makes a great camera for video. I've heard that people love their color science and the way that images look right out of the box. Now, I myself am not a colorist. I know a few great colorists out there that love spending time fine-tuning and making images great, but I'm not that person. I prefer a camera that does it for me. That's why I decided to lean on Canon for this one. My third reason is that I see buying this camera as a step in the direction on my path to cinema. And what I mean by this is, in the world of cameras, there are 4 basic camera types. I'll spend time mostly talking about 2 of them, so the way I spread them out on here will reflect that. Where we'll spend the bulk of our time is talking about mirrorless and DSLR. I could also put point-and-shoot cameras on here as well, but for the sake of argument, we're just going to stick with these 4. Our second on this list is camcorders. Our third on our list is cinema cameras. And our fourth on our list is broadcast cameras. You can think of this arrangement as 2 rows, essentially. On this row, you have your interchangeable lens cameras. And on this row, you have your built-in zoom lens cameras. In this column, you're going to find your most affordable cameras. And in this column, you're going to find your most top-of-the-line, best-in-class products in this column. These cameras are best for your live television shows, so whether that's sports or morning shows or evening shows, weather reports, that's what these cameras excel at. These cameras excel at making movies and cinema-level television shows. So all those new TV shows, such as, say, Ted Lasso, are shot on cinema cameras. These cameras are the most accessible cameras, and these are the cameras people typically use for business, whether wedding business, real estate, photography, or videography business. These are where you typically find these cameras. And camcorders are great for, say, travel videography, recording long stretches of time without having to worry about carrying around lenses or worrying about overheating. These do great, much better than these when it comes to recording for a long period of time. With that said, camcorders being more like broadcast, if you're aiming to get into broadcast, this is where you go. If you're aiming to get into cinema though, it's great to start and work with interchangeable lens cameras, which is why I chose to be in this quadrant. Now within this quadrant, there are actually 2 separate parts. You have your APS-C cameras and your full frame cameras. Full frame cameras shoot on a 35mm sensor, or in the case of Canon, it's a 36mm sensor. APS-C cameras shoot on 3/4 of that. They're often known as crop sensor cameras, and the R50 is a crop sensor camera. Now in each of these 4 categories, there are typically 3 different models. You'll have a base model, you'll have a mid-tier model, and you'll have a flagship. What I found is that the best deal is usually in the mid-tier, whether it's in mirrorless, cinema, camcorders, or broadcast. Oftentimes, your base model will have the baseline of what you would need in a camera. Your flagship will try and push technology to as far as they can push it. But your mid-tier often incorporates some of the technology that you'd find in a flagship at a more affordable price closer to the base. Canon has two mid-tier cameras, the R50 and the R10. They both have a 24.2 megapixel sensor, and they both can film in 4K. The primary difference between the R50 and the R10 is that the R10 can shoot pictures faster than the R50. Now, if I was into shooting sports photography, I would go for the R10. But since my primary focus at this point in time is building up a YouTube channel, I stuck with the R50. Looking down the line, though, I'd eventually like to get into cinema cameras. And the question that I have before me is whether I'm going to go into the full frame before getting there or just jump straight over to cinema cameras. And what will help me figure out whether to go one way or the other is how I like this particular camera. If I wind up liking this camera a lot, I'll jump straight over to cinema and just save the extra money to get there. Otherwise, I might upgrade for a few additional features. In the full frame camera, to give you an example of what the difference is between these two, you're looking at 24.2 megapixel sensors in your mid-tier, double stacked. So the difference between this one and this one is that instead of having one sensor behind the lens, you have two. And the idea behind that is the second one catches whatever the first one missed. It's the same concept they use in solar panels to gather as much energy as possible. Except in this case, the goal is to gather as much information as possible. Now this camera, the R3, costs $4,500. The equivocal mid-tier cinema camera, the C80, cost $5,500. There's not a lot of difference between these two cameras as far as cost, and there's also not a lot of difference in terms of feature. This camera, the C80, shoots in 26.2 megapixels, and it is also double stacked. The main difference between these two is this produces the image quality that you want for television and movies that you'll see on Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, that sort of thing. So this is where I'm planning to go. This is where I'm starting, and I'm pretty excited to start here because this camera alone is shooting at about twice the resolution as my old camera. My old camera would have shot in the equivocal of about 2K, and this currently shoots at about 4K, which is excellent. I'm hoping that it means for a clearer picture, especially on the big screen, because I've been watching more YouTube on the big screen and noticing that it would be nice to see it a little bit clearer when I watch my own videos. Either way, I hope this camera is a start of great things to come, and I hope you'll come along with me on this journey of making increasingly better videos and becoming a better storyteller here on YouTube. If you like this video and if you'd like to see more of it, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next video.